Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube space. My name is Richard Onyamido and this is Tutorials Academy. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through the animations tab, all the features of the animations tab and how to utilize them in PowerPoint. The animations tab is one of the tabs that makes PowerPoint different from all the softwares of the Microsoft suite. You may be wondering, what is the animations tab used for in PowerPoint? Right. Just like the name goes, the animations tab is used to animate shapes, text, pictures, icons, and smart arts in PowerPoint. Right. Now, unlike the transitions tab, where it helps you move from one slide to another, the animations tab takes effect on a particular slide. Right. Any animation settings you are going to make will take effect on that particular slide. It can't animate to the next slide, right? Any settings you make will take effect on the same slide you made the settings, right? Being it shape, being it image, being it text, it will take effect on the same slide. Without boring you with much talks, let's get to action as I demonstrate and also teach you how to use the animations tab. We are going to insert some shapes, right? I'm going to insert some shapes. Let's pick the isosceles triangle, right? Right. Very good. Now let's turn to the animations tab, right? Now, in order to activate the animations tab, you have to click on the shape. You see, once I click on the shape, the animations tab gets activated. Without the shape being clicked, the animations tab will not be activated. So let's click on the shape to activate the animations tab. Now, right after preview, which I'll demonstrate how it works later, you see a group called animation, right? You see a group called animation, right? This is where the animation options are, right? If you want to see all the forms of animation there is, click on this small arrow down here for more. There are different categories of animation. We have entrance, we have emphasis, and then we have exit. We are going to walk through, as well as motion parts. We are going to walk through all these animation features and see how they work and how we can use them, right? Let's duplicate this triangle 3 times, and then inside this one I'm going to write entrance, entrance, and then in this one I'm going to write emphasis, and then in this one I'm going to write exit. Let me create another one, and then in this one I'm going to write motion path. Very good. So let's begin with entrance, right? Just like the name indicates, entrance, this animation causes the object to appear on the slide, right? We have appear, fade, fly in, float, split, wipe. So we are going to click on a few and see how they work. Let's click on fade, and then you see, once I click on a certain animation, now the preview feature has been activated. So I can click on preview to see how it previews. Do you see it? Yes, that is the fade option right there. Fade animation, and then we have fly in. Do you see it? Fly in, and then there's float in, there's split, there's wipe, there's shapes, and then there's wheel, and then random bars. You see it? Very nice, very decent. And then there's more, right? How do we access the more features, the more entrance features under the animations tab? You come here, click on more entrance effects, and then you see so many entrance animation you can use for your PowerPoint slides, right? Yes. And then there's emphasis. Same as entrance, just as the name implies, emphasis will lay more emphasis on whatever you're animating, right? There's color pulse, there's theta, there's spin, there's shrink and grow, there's desaturate, there's darkening, lightening, transparency, object color, complement color, line color, and a lot. There are so many, right? So I'm going to click on a few, and then we see how they also work. Let's click on shrink, and then we'll click on preview. Sorry, let me take off this animation first. Yes, so that only this one will take effect. Play. You see it grows, and then we have desaturate. Once I click on preview, it will desaturate, so the color blue will change. Then we have theta to wiggle a bit. We have color pulse. You see it? Yes, that is how the animation effects looks like. We have darken or darken the color, and that is it. And then we have the exit. Just like entrance, emphasis, exit also animates the object in such a way that it will leave the slide, right? So I'll click on some of the exit features for animation, and then we'll see we have fade. Let me get this option off, and then click on this one. So once I click on preview, you see it fades out, it flies out, floats out, splits out. You see it wipes off the page, and then the shape as well, right? All of these, there are more features to all, there are more options to these. Just like the entrance, there are more emphasis options, there are more exit options. So you just come here, you see more emphasis effect, you see more exit effect, you click on them. There are so many you can choose from, right? Depending on your choice, there are so many you can choose from. And then motion path. This animation feature allows you to animate your object in a certain direction, right? Once I click on arc, wait, let me expand this a bit. Once I click on arc, and then I click on the animation, I click on the preview, sorry, I click on the preview, it will animate following the path that I drew, right? I can also change the path on how the animation should go, right? Can also change the path, and then it will follow the new path that I've drawn. Once I click on preview, it will follow the new path that I've drawn. Very simple, very nice, and very unique, right? So that is all for the animation group. The next thing I want to talk about is the effect options. Some of these animation effects have effect options. That is, you tell which way the object should animate to, right? For instance, let's pick flying in from the entrance category, right? Let's pick flying in from the entrance category, and then under the effect options, we'll pick from top, and let's preview and see, right? Initially, it was flying in from the bottom, but upon picking flying in from top of option, it's now flying in from top. You understand? You can change the direction from which it should fly in, right? This is different from motion path, right? This is just effect option. So you decide, you select which effect you want. Some of them have effects, some of them do not, right? Some of them have effects, some of them do not have effects. So don't be bothered if you don't get effect options for some of them. I want to pick one. Yes, for instance, this one. This fade option, these fade effects do not have options like the fly in and then the float in, right? So that is it for options, effect options. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the add animation option under the advanced animation group, right? This star with plus button here. Now before I talk about that, let's look at something here. Now the entrance triangle, right? Now it has the animation effect fly in. Let's say I want to add another animation like shrink and grow. You realize that instead of adding the animation, it changes the fly in animation to shrink and grow. Now when I click on preview, it will not play the fly in animation, but rather the shrink and grow animation. The reason being is the fly in animation has been replaced with the shrink and grow animation. You understand? So if you want to add two or more animations to a particular object or text or picture or smart art, you use the add animation option right here, the add animation option. So when I click on add animation, it will give me the chance to add another animation to the fly in animation that already exists. So let's choose the shrink and grow. Now you realize that the animations have become two. They have animation 1 and animation 2. So animation 1 will play fly in and then animation 2 will be shrink and grow. So when I click on preview, the fly in animation will play first before the shrink and grow animation will also play. So that is it for the add animation feature, right? You can also add another animation, say exit. So let's add the fade, and now the animations become 3. So we have the fly in for 1, the shrink and grow for 2, and then the fade for 3. When I click on preview, it will fly in, shrink and grow, and then fade. You see it? Yes. So that is the add animation option right here. And then another thing I want to talk about is the animation pane. Right, the next feature is the animation pane. When I click on the animation pane, it will open a pane here where all the animations I've added on a particular slides will show according to how I added it or how I added them. So first of all, we have the fly in animation, we have the shrink and grow, and then we have the fade animation, right? The 3 animations I've added here, right? I can adjust the animations here based on how I want. So I can bring the shrink and the fade animation second, and then the shrink and grow last. I can bring the shrink and grow before the fade animation, before the flying animation. Do you understand? I can easily drag and drop and then arrange the animation how I want it, right? Another thing I can do here is to click on this small arrow and then do the settings for the animation. Whether start with preview, start after previous, effect options and timing, hide advanced timeline, and then remove animation. I can also remove the animation I've added here, right? Click on start means when I switch to presentation mode, right, I would have to click on the slide before the animation will start playing. Do you see it? Yes, that is the click on start option, right? And then we have the start with previous. You understand? Start with previous means all the 3 animations will play together. Each animation will start with the previous animation, and then the third one will also start with the previous one. That is the start with previous animation. And then there's a last option called start after previous. Start after previous simply means once the first animation is done, the second will start playing. The third will wait till the second is done before it will also start playing. So that is it for the animation pane as well. Then effect option. Once I click on effect option, you see this dialog box here, right? Here I can set the effect based on how I want. Do I want it to bounce at the end? Do I want a smooth end? Do I want a smooth start? Right? This is shrink and grow. How do I want the triangle to grow? The size to which I want the triangle to grow, right? I can also add sound here I'll choose sound here, or I'll add my own sound from other sounds. Like I said earlier, when I was doing the transition, I can add my own sound as well. And then I can set the dim after animation. Do I want the triangle to dim, or I want the triangle to remain untouched after the animation? And then this one is for animating text. Do I want to animate the text all at once, or animate word by word, or animate by letter? So I'll walk you through animate by text by using a text example, and then you see how that is done. And then there's the timing, right? The timing I've spoken about on click, with previous, and then after previous. Once you choose after previous, you'll be allowed to set delay, right? Delay. The delay means after one animation is done, how long should it take before the next animation will start playing? Do you understand? How long will it take before the next animation will start playing? Now, let me set the delay to 4 seconds or 5 seconds. Then click OK. Now, do you realize that after setting the delay to 4 or 5 seconds, the yellow box, the yellow bar that was initially at 0 has shifted to 5 seconds? Do you see it? Yes. That is what the delay effect does. So if I want, I can also use this drag option here to set the delay, right? Now I can set it to 2 point something, I can set it to 3, I can bring it back to 0 if I don't like the delay effect. When I click on the second one too, I can also click on effect options, click on timing, and then set the delay to say 3 seconds, right? Now, when I click preview, once the first animation plays, it will take 3 seconds before the second animation will play, and then the third one will play with the second one. You understand? Because the third animation is on click, right? On click option. If I switch it to start after previous, then there will be some sort of delay, right? Right now it's 0 seconds between the second and the third, but it's 0.5 between the first and then the third, right? So I can drag it based on how I want it to set the delay difference. So that is it for the animation pane. There's more to it. Yes, there's more to it. Once you click on this small button here, you can access all these amazing features of the animation pane, right? All these amazing features of the animation pane. And then you can also set the duration for the animation, right? Should it be very slow, extremely slow, depending on the seconds it should last. And then you can also choose the repeat option. Do you want it to repeat once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, until the next slide, until the end of slide, right? Until the next click, or until the end of slide, right? So you set the repeat option based on how you want it, right? But that is the repeat option. In case you're wondering, how do I make this animation keep repeating itself, right? And then aside the repeat option, you can also use this click. You can also use this rewind when done playing. So the rewind when done playing feature will keep playing non-stop, right? Yes, so that is the rewind when done playing feature. And then there's triggers, right? You realize that initially you were just clicking anywhere on the slide randomly to cause the animation to start playing. With trigger, you would have to click on a specific part. On a specific part of the slide, being it a shape, text, or image, right? The one you set to be the trigger, you would have to click on that to cause the animation to start playing, right? So we are going to set the trigger effect and then see how it works. Before that, let's select all the animation. Click on the first animation, hold shift, and then click on the last animation to select all the animation. Now right click on this, click on effect options, click on timing, and then click on triggers, and then click on start effect on click off, and then let's choose isosceles triangle 5 exit, and then click OK. Right, now let's switch to presentation mode. Then see if I click anywhere on a slide, right? If I click anywhere on a slide, it will not play, right? it will never play. The animation will not play. Instead, what will happen is that the slide will close, right, without playing the animation, unless I click on a trigger, which is this triangle. Once I click on this triangle, the animation will start playing. Do you see it? Yes. So that is what we call the trigger. That is what the trigger does. Do you see it? Once I click on the trigger again, the next animation will play. Once I click on the trigger again, the last animation will play. Right? Do you see? The first animation is the shrink and grow. The second one is the fly in, and then the third one is the feed. So that is the trigger. Right? Aside that, anywhere you click on a slide, it will just close the presentation because it's only one slide. So it will just close the presentation. Yes, so that is the trigger option right there. Right. That is the trigger option under these features, these effect options. Right. These options that I've spoken about, are the same options up here. You can see start on click with previous, after previous, you can see duration, you can see delay. Those are the same options that I spoke about earlier, right? Those are the same options I spoke about earlier. This is the trigger option I spoke about right now. So the last thing I would want to talk about is animation painter, right? Animation painter. As you can see, I have some animations on this triangle. I have 3 animations applied to this triangle, right? Only this triangle. This one do not have animation. This one does not have animation. This one doesn't have any animation, right? Yes. So what do? Should, in case I want to copy the same animation on these particular slides without having to duplicate this slide and these triangles, without having to duplicate this particular triangle 3 more times and renaming each duplicated triangle, what I will use is the animation painter. This animation painter copies animation from one object to the other, right? So I'll select the triangle that has the animation, click on the animation painter once, and then click on the triangle that I want to have the animation on. You see, now the second triangle have all these 3 animations. You see it? Yes. It has all these 3 animations, excluding the trigger. Right? The trigger, you would have to set it yourself. So excluding the trigger, the animations have been copied onto the emphasis triangle neatly. Right? Now you realize that after copying it onto the emphasis triangle once, it disables. Now it's not working again, right? To use this animation painter multiple times, you have to double click it to make sure it's highlighted. You see it has been highlighted. Now, when I click on the exit, it will still hold. I'll click on motion path, it will still hold until I click on the animation painter again, and then it will disable. You see it? Now you realize that whilst I was clicking on these triangles, the animation pane, the animations in the animation pane were updating, right? You see it? Now we don't have just 3 animations, we have 12 animations because we have 4 different triangles. You understand? Yes. So that is it for the animation painter. Now let's look at something. Realize that the animations have been numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 12, right? And they've been arranged in a specific order, right? Now we have 1, 2, 3. The reason why we have 1, 2, 3 here is because of the on-click feature, right? The on-click option, right? On-click to start option. Let me say it that way, right? You realize that all the animations are having mouse button attached to them. The reason being is all of them are having the on-click to start feature, right? Let's look at something. When I select the first one and then press and hold shift, select the last one, and then change the option to start with previous, you realize that all of them will switch to 0. You see it? All of them have switched to 0. The reason being is they are all going to play together. Once the first animation starts, all of them are going to play. You see it? You see how fast that was? Yes. Once the first animation starts, all of them are going to play together, no delay. I can also change the option to start after previous, right? Start after previous means they'll play one by one. Sorry, each animation will play one by one, one by one, one by one after the other, one after the other. You see, starting from animation number one, it will play. Animation number two also play, followed by the next, followed by the next, followed by the next. Do you see it? Now, upon choosing that feature, you realize that the mouse button has now changed. The mouse symbol has now changed to a clock symbol, right? Meaning I've changed the animation option, the option for the way the object should animate. I've changed it, right? That is one way you can notice that you've changed it. And then the other way is to look at the numbering on the slides, right? The numbering on the slides will also tell you whether you've changed the way it should animate or you've not changed the way it should animate. Yes. So that is it for the shape animation, right? Now let's look at how to animate text. How to animate text. There was one feature, one option in the advanced animation options that I skipped. That is how to animate text. So let's look at how to animate text. To animate text, right? Let me get some text on the slide. Let me take off animations for all these. Set it to now. Set a text box and then add a text. I'll increase the font size. Yes. And I'll bolden it. Sorry. Yep. So yes, so we are come to animate this text and then see how it goes. Right, I come to animate this text. Tutorials Academy. Let me add subscribe. Subscribe. Yep. And then see how it goes. So let's click on this. Let's highlight all of them. Go to animations and then click on split animation. Right. Click on split animation and then preview and see how it goes. You see it? Yes. The same way it applies to the shape, it can also apply to text. Right. The same effect options. You can add another animation as well. You can set a trigger. Right. On click of what? Text box 7. On click of what? Isosceles triangle 3. Okay. On click of isosceles triangle 6. Any of them. Right. Any of them. Any of the isosceles triangle. Any of the isosceles triangle. So let's pick isosceles triangle 3 and then switch to presentation mode and then click on entrance. You see it. Once I click on the entrance triangle, it will play the animation. The more I click, the more it plays. The more I click. If I click anywhere else, it will close the slide. Yes. Since I've set the trigger to the entrance triangle, right? That is where the trigger point is. Once I click on it, it will keep playing the animation. But it will not play until I enter into presentation mode, right? It only works in presentation mode. If I'm not in presentation mode, it can't play, right? The trigger will not work unless you switch to presentation mode, right? Now, while we're coming through the advanced option features, right? The advanced effect option features, we saw animate text here, yes. So we are going to see how we can animate text. But first of all, let's set the play option to start after previous, right? Let's set the play option to start after previous. Let's set the one for the first set of text to start on click, right? Start on click. Don't forget there's trigger, right? There's a trigger option here. So we've not disabled the trigger option, so the trigger is still the entrance triangle. Yes. So now I'm going to highlight the two text inputted and then click on effect options, click on animate text, select animate text by word, right? It's by default it's at all at once. Sorry, by default it's at all at once. So you change it to by word and then set the time, the 10% option is here to 50, right? If you really want to see the effect very well, very nicely, I advise that you set it to 50. Click on OK, and then let's switch to presentation mode, and then click on the entrance, and then you see, right? It's animated by Word. So Tutorials Academy, subscribe, and you see it. Yes, Tutorials Academy, subscribe. Yes. So that is the animate by Word. Let's pick the last option, which is animate by letters, and then set the percent option to 50 as well, and then see what the outcome is going to look like. Let's click on our trigger. So you see it to play, it will animate each text individually. It will not animate the word together, but it will animate text by text. You see, it's very nice, very decent, very beautiful. You can also add sounds to it, right? It's very, very, very nice, very simple, very unique. Yeah. So that is the animate text option. Yes, that is the animate text option. Yes, so that is all for the animation tab in PowerPoint. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sticking with me from the beginning of this video till the end. I'm grateful. If you learned something and then you find this content very intriguing and insightful, please do well to like, share, and subscribe. Till then, I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.